Well, hello, ladies, and welcome to day 5 of the Renew Virtual Women's Wellness Summit and 5-day Power Up Mindset Challenge for Q1. We have had an amazing week already, and I am so grateful for everything that we have learned. Tonight, you are going to hear from our closing keynote for the Money Mindset series. And she is a powerhouse, okay? You need to soak up everything that this beautiful woman has to say. She is the owner of Vorsa Investments, which is a commercial syndication and acquisition company. She has apartment complexes and RV resorts across the nation. She shows busy professionals how they can own real estate without being landlords, provides them with commission free, consistent passive income. Amen. The passive income, y'all, is the income that you get when you're sleeping. Okay. So
Mhm.
consistent passive income is where it's at. She rescues them from the volatile stock market and teaches them how to take advantage of significant tax breaks. She loves to educate about how to think and earn generational wealth like the millionaires do. She's an international speaker and published columnist in Wow Warrior, Business Leaders Network, and Shaping Women Naturally magazines. The Vorsa Investments team is always eager to connect potential investors who are serious about financial prosperity. I'm excited to have met this fabulous woman through Shaping Women Naturally and the Women's Expo that happened here in Houston this past year. And I have stayed connected with her throughout that time. And I'm so grateful to have her as our closing keynote speaker for the Money Mindset series, speaking on myths of the middle class money mindset. Y'all, welcome to the stage, Miss Jennifer Falloon. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you. Carla, thank you so much for asking me to be a speaker. I really appreciate that. And I love teaching about this. I love teaching about all things passive income and financial and all the things. So I appreciate you. Thank you. And to everybody else, I just want to say happy Friday. And I am Jennifer Falloon, and I am so glad you're here. And the fact that you're here on a Friday night and not out on the town suggests to me that you're either snowed in or looking for something to change your world. So hopefully by the end of this talk, I have done just that on some level. I don't have a PowerPoint. I'm just gonna ramble. But if you are in need of this information, just shoot me an email. I put all of my information in the chat. And it's there. So however you need to reach me, I am accessible. I promise you will be able to find me. Um, so with that, I have wanting to start with who I am and why you should be listening to anything I have to say. So thank you, Carla. You did an amazing job introducing me. And I'm just going to take that a smidge step further. I have been investing in real estate since 2010 as kind of a hobby, a little bit of a side hustle. And it started as my husband's idea. This is really his love. I just kind of adopted it. And my goal was to really be a trophy wife. I really wanted him to be doing this stuff. I wanted to be going to teas and lunches and having my face worked on. But I ended up becoming the face of our business and now pretty much running it on my own. So you see how that worked out for me. But we started with house hacking several of our houses, meaning we bought them as foreclosures, but they were very livable. So we were able to get them at deep discounts and then sell them several years later for large profits. We also bought tax lien houses. We owner financed one of our homesteads, meaning that we became the bank. And what we did is mark up the payment of our home. And when the buyer paid us directly, we paid the mortgage and then kept what was left over. So then in 2016, everything changed when my son Cameron, that's going to be important later, he graduated high school and was accepted into the Special Forces of the Navy. And 2 weeks before he was to ship out, the United States Navy cut his contract, him and 1,200 other people. And for the next 16 months, we tried without success to get him into another branch of the military. And this was especially hard because he had scored so high on his ASVABs and all of his testing that to be kind of like a lower level, I don't know what the terminology would even be, but a lower level entry was just not good enough. It was like special forces or nothing. And we tried without success to get him into another branch of that military. And then one day he walked downstairs and announced to us that if he didn't get in at this particular round that we were trying for, that he would be committing suicide, as he did not see that he had any purpose outside of the military. And so let me tell you, if you are not a praying person, you sure will be when your child comes to you and has a remark like that. So as a mama, I cried to God and I was like, you have to do something. And so while this mess is going on, my husband had been begging me to get involved on a deeper level of real estate investing. And he bought us VIP tickets to a 3-day intensive real estate boot camp. And I'm working full time. I'm a finance manager of a car dealership. And unfortunately, my boss and I hated each other. But as God would have it, my jerk boss would not let me off that weekend. And Cameron was forced to go in my place. And I mean, kicking and screaming forced. He did not want to be 3 days in a hotel room learning about real estate. However, by the end of that first day, he was completely bought in. And we built our single family business, Happy Homes Now, together. I quit my job. He quit trying to get into the military, and we made real estate investing our full-time job. And so with Happy Homes Now, that's kind of our single family business still, although we don't do a lot with it. But we started out assisting families who were getting ready to go into the foreclosure process. And we would stop that foreclosure and we would pay for them a safe, clean, affordable place to live. And we'd rehab their house and sell it for profit. And so we did this for a couple years until the housing market boomed. And it made it impossible for us to find that clean, safe, affordable housing for our clients. So I then had the idea that if I could buy a small apartment complex, then I could house my families there. And it was my goal to have 14 units. I don't know why I picked 14 units. In my mind, 14 was the magic number. And I went all in learning everything I could about multifamily. I joined a mastermind, and in less than a year, I had my first apartment complex. But it wasn't the 14 units that I wanted. My first apartment complex was 324 units. It was a $30 million deal. It was a $12 million raise. It was by far the scariest and hardest thing I had ever done in my life. And since then, I have partnered in another 101 units in the Galleria of Houston. We've bought 30 houses in Southwest Florida, farmland in Missouri, as well as some other single family houses kind of scattered in here and there. As far as working with people who are going through foreclosure, we don't market for that anymore, but we will certainly not turn down anybody in need if it's a referral basis. So, and today we are currently gearing up to close on an A-class RV resort in Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri. So I am super excited about that. So with all this income that we earned from all of those investments, we also learned to invest in foreign currency. We have an e-commerce store with the business that Cameron and his buddies started on their own. And I am so proud of him. So he is very integral in our real estate business. And now for him to go out and like build this thing all by himself, like a grown man. I am so proud of him. And so I just can't say enough about that. But I digress. And I'm just amazed, though, to think that not long ago, my son went from contemplating suicide to like being at the top of his game, right? Making his own money, building his life by his design. And it just makes my mommy heart explode. But I digress. The last thing that we are invested in is infinite banking. And what we do with that is we give out private loans, and we're able to charge significant interest rates for short amount of time. And these are all fantastic avenues to compound your investment dollars. So I want to be extremely clear that this talk is in no way meant to offend or degrade anyone on their current thought processes. The term that I'm going to use when I say middle class, it isn't so much a financial demographic as it is the mindset. And this mindset is the polar opposite of the millionaire mindset. And this talk is really meant to be a tool to open our minds to a mindset that many of us weren't likely taught by our families. And we're certainly not taught this in our education system. And sometimes the truth is hard to hear. But if we don't listen to the hard truths, how do we expect to be better and do better? So I'm ready for some hard truths, and I hope that you are too. And let's get to it. How the millionaires teach their children about money and finances are worlds apart from how the middle class children are taught. And this talk is specifically designed by my own personal experiences and what I've learned along the way, and how I teach my children. And now my children will be teaching my grandchildren these concepts. And together, my children and I have broken the generational financial curses that have plagued my family for generations. We've broken that chain. It stops with us. And to me, that is such a worthy accomplishment. And I am so blessed that God has given us this opportunity. And so I pray the same for your family too. And I hope that some of this will put you on a path to breaking any financial curses that your family has. So forgive my assumption, but I am going to assume that nobody here is a trust fund baby or was given a substantial inheritance. I know I wasn't. And as for my family and other family members I knew in my own family and my friends, like, we didn't talk about finances. It was considered rude. And as children, it certainly was not your business to know anything about the family finances. I have been talking about finances with my children for years. We talk about good debt. We talk about bad debt. We talk about ways to diversify our money, budgeting. Nothing is off the table. And that's exactly how the 1% talk to their children. Millionaires know they are doing their children a disservice not teaching them about finances and wealth building. For them, it's not just about making money, but it's also about keeping the money they've worked so hard for. And making money and growing your money, they are very different things. We can all make money, but how are we taught to keep it, and more importantly, grow it? So over the years, I've compiled a list of differences comparing the mindset and habits of millionaires to those of the typical middle class. And this was really a journaling prompt for me to kind of gauge how my mindset has changed and how I've changed over the years. And then it just happened that it became a really good talk, and it's in several magazines. So personally, I'm from the middle class. And again, these are Genisms. And in Jen's world, I find that the middle class of the Midwest are far more reluctant to change than, say, the middle class of larger, more innovative cities, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio. And this is a lot of generalization and a reminder of where I started in my mindset to where I am now. And so let's begin with the differences between the middle class mindset and the millionaire mindset. So, number one is the middle class think way more of their financial advisors than they should. Millionaires are not held captive by their financial advisors. The middle class love to feel like they financially made it by having a financial advisor, and they have no idea that their financial advisor is in no way having their best interest in mind. Financial advisors work on commission. They only have their paychecks in mind. And I have personally seen financial advisors hold funds hostage from their customers. I have seen them purposely drag their feet to keep their customers from making deadlines into our deals. So their funds are perpetually locked up at their firms. And this middle class mindset population failed to understand that the financial advisor works for them, not the other way around. Millionaires understand this, and though they may listen to the opinions of the advisor, if they have one at all, most do not, but many won't and don't. But they are well aware that it's their commissions they're most worried about, and they have no fear of the advisor and pulling money out as needed. Which brings us to number two. The middle class are scared to invest their money. Millionaires are confident in their investments. They have no problem pulling money from their advisors or any account for that matter to grow it in other avenues. They educate themselves on different alternative asset classes. They see where other millionaires are putting their funds. They're watching market trends and listening to market experts. And the problem with the middle class mindset thinker is that they don't and won't do the necessary due diligence to vet other growth vehicles. The middle class are far too worried about sports leagues and watching the Kardashians to be bothered by education. And just so we're clear, I do love some TV shows, not the Kardashians, but I do like TV. And I am not a numbers person. So I am personally bored to death listening to market reports and financial gurus. But I do spend time listening to the condensed version of all things financial from dependable sources that I respect and keep close in my circle. And so I'm watching what the millionaires are doing. I'm following where they're putting their money. Where are they taking their money out? And even if I'm only able to do that on a super small scale, I'm still taking the action. And some money is better than no money. Number three, the middle class are closed-minded to most opportunities. Millionaires are open-minded to opportunities, and they love to listen to pitches. The middle class, we are all programmed to believe that everything is a scam. And we fear risking our money. We don't understand, or there are times when the risk is worth the reward. So how many times have you shot down someone who wanted to share an opportunity that they were excited about? I mean, all the time. And so, but what if we took the time to hear someone out and was open-minded to what they were pitching? What if you took a leap of faith and invested with them? What if in doing so, you made money? What if instead of all the things that could go wrong, we altered our thinking to all the things that could go right? Number four. So how do you know if an opportunity is right? Surround yourself with people who are forward thinkers. We are the sum of the 5 people we spend the most time with, right? We hear that all the time from every guru. But it's so true. And think about the 5 people. Do they make you better? Do they push you forward? Or do they hold you back? Do they make you feel good about what you're going to do? Are they going to give you constructive criticism instead of just nasty criticism? Are they criticizing your ideas and beliefs? And, sometimes it's necessary to change who we're hanging out with and where we're hanging out with. And I know for my husband and I, we've had to do this, right? There are lots of friends and family that we love that they don't serve us anymore, right? And to even try to talk to them is pointless and meaningless. And so we really picked our 5 people, um, people that were smarter than us, made way more money than us, and where we someday wanted to be. And in just hanging out with those 5 people and your 5 people, you're forced to level up. And so I highly recommend evaluating or reevaluating who your 5 people are, and not being afraid to just maybe not necessarily cut them out. I'm like a cutthroat, like I'm cutting you out, but maybe just don't spend quite so much time with them. The middle class, they want opinions from people who aren't even authorized to give opinions. And I never fail to laugh out loud because it's my business. And if I'm going to burn a bridge, I'm going to burn it good. When an investor wants to talk to their dad or their grandma before making a decision. And I always ask if they have ever, the grandma or the dad or whoever it may be, have they ever invested in real estate? And the answer is almost always no. And so then I ask the follow-up question, well, then are they a millionaire? And the answer is always no. So then why are you going to them asking their opinion? Because here's the thing, they're probably going to say no, because they themselves have no idea what investing is. And of course, in the name of concern, they're going to advise against that because they don't have the balls to do it themselves. And if they did, then you would want to go to them, but they didn't, or you wouldn't be coming to me. It's madness. It's madness. It makes me laugh. It drives me crazy. And it's my perfect segue to my next point, number 5. The middle class care way too much about what other people think. Do you think Elon Musk gives 2 cares what the media and society say about him? Heck no. He's too busy building electric cars and rocket ships. Have any of our presidential candidates ever dropped out of a race because they didn't have 100% of the voter pool, or the media said something ugly about them? No, they are far too focused on trying to make our country better. Millionaires think for themselves. They don't have the time or the care to worry about what their neighbors are saying, what their acquaintances are saying, or even what their family is saying. And look, if politicians, inventors, and movement makers listened to their family and friends, it's very unlikely any innovation in this world would have ever been accomplished. So, number 6, the middle class don't apply themselves. The millionaires, they are not afraid to work hard for what they want. They meet challenges and roadblocks head on and problem solve their way through it. The middle class mindset population give up way too easily when things get hard. It's easier to be broke and lazy than it is to work hard and be wealthy. And the problem is, broke is forever when you are lazy. Wealth building is hard, but it's not hard forever. It's only hard in the beginning, and then you get to reap the rewards. So for me, I'd rather work my butt off for the next 5 years and then get to spend the next 40 years traveling, ministering, and living my best life on my terms. I have had so many people beg me to teach them how to get where I am, and I am so happy to do so. But as soon as I give them the homework, they're quick to quit. They don't want to do the work. They want that secret shortcut. Well, there is no secret shortcut. And even if there was, we don't learn anything of value using the shortcuts of life. There's no character building. There's no story of failure to triumph. And the millionaires know this. And to be a millionaire, this is one of the most important mindset hurdles that I had to overcome. And I think it's probably one of the hardest to overcome for most people. Number 7, the middle class save their money. Millionaires do not save money. If you are saving money, you are losing money. Money should always be working. When anyone complains about the economy, the first question I ask them is, What are you doing to help the economy? Money in a savings account or a CD, and God help us, under your mattress, cannot help the economy. Your money should always be working. It should be in a syndication. It should be in an e-commerce business. It should be being lent out with returns. This is what keeps money compounding while being worked in the real world. A penny saved is a penny earned is no longer viable financial advice. A penny saved is a penny lost. Get your money out there working. Do not think that whatever you have isn't enough to get started. We've had investor partners start with $100 and they've had it invested with us for years. There are investment options out there where you can put very little money and still make a return from it. And no, the lottery and casinos are not options. Don't go there. Number 8, the middle class have no idea about good debt and how to leverage it. Millionaires know the difference between good debt and bad debt. And there are 2 debt classes of the middle class. Those that believe debt is bad and won't use it at all, and those that are so deep in debt they'll never get out. Don't be in either of those classes. Have a healthy portion of good debt and let your good debts pay for your bad debts. I am a perfect example of that. I'm a real estate investor. I am $50 million in debt with my apartment complexes, but those complexes generate about $500,000 a year in revenue. That $500,000 is used to pay for our homestead mortgage, which is another thing. Your homestead is not an asset. Unless something is paying for your home is a liability. But our apartments pay for our mortgage. They pay for our car payments. They pay for our family trips, and they pay for our hobbies. Good debt makes you money. Bad debt eats your money. So choose your debt wisely. Number 9, the middle class think too small. Why do millionaires get to live life on their terms? Why are they the ones that get to make the laws that benefit them? Why are they so hated by the middle class? Because the millionaires are doing what the rest of the population won't do. They think big and they actually take action. Y'all, we all are thinking way too small. And we all need to be thinking bigger. We are capable of so much more than we give ourselves credit for. If you had told me 17 years ago, as a broke single mom, 2 kids, no child support, sometimes working 2, 3 jobs, working a job, having a side hustle, with a 400 credit score, if I was lucky, and I'm barely scraping by, that today I would have an 800 credit score, that I would own multiple businesses and have the audacity to teach financial education, I would have laughed out loud in your face, like spittle in your face laughing. But I did have big thoughts. I knew I was destined for something else. I just didn't know what, and I certainly didn't know how. And it took me slow, timid action. But slow, timid action is still action. And when those small actions worked, it gave me the confidence to act bigger and bigger and bigger. So, what is it you're thinking too small about? And maybe it's trying for a promotion at work. Is it writing that book? Starting a nonprofit? Whatever it is, you've got to get out of your own way and make it happen. And so if you are looking for a rhema word or a sign or permission or validation, this is it. I am giving it to you. And if you need an accountability partner, my information is in the chat. I will give it to you again. You call me. If you have any fear whatsoever, you call me, because I will be your courage. Now, for me, and I think we're probably going to wrap up earlier than we expected, so that'll be one of my gifts to you on a Friday night. But for me, I love new information. I love learning about new things. I appreciate every speaker I have ever heard and every summit and event that I've ever attended. But sometimes I leave and I'm like, that was great information, but what do I do with it? Right? Like, what are the actionable items? Like, how does this apply to me? And how do I apply that information into my real world? And so I have some actionable items to make everything that you have just absorbed a reality. And I hope you feel the same way, because here are your actionable items. Number one, if you don't own Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, you should get it. I can almost always find one copy at a Goodwill, and I will buy them all up. If there's more than one copy, I probably have 10 of these books, and I give them away to every new investor we have, or every kid who even acts remotely interested. I'm like, read this book. There is also a version for teenagers. So if you have kids, get them a copy. And Robert, and I get no kickbacks from this, right? This is just what we did. So don't feel obligated, but this is what Jen recommends. Robert Kiyosaki also has a board game called Cash Flow. It is a little pricey, but it is worth it. It's one of my favorite games to play. I drive my family crazy. But playing the cash flow game is a great way to develop the confidence to explore self-directed investments, entrepreneurship, and new income streams without gambling your real money. It's kind of like Monopoly, where you get to buy the houses and the hotels without using your own money. Similar, right? You can actually make investment decisions without using your own money, but it is a great game to play. 3, if you have a dormant retirement plan, put it into a self-directed IRA. This is a non-taxable event, and you can use that money to invest or lend out. If you need help with that, again, I am a resource. I'm happy to guide you to a self-directed company we use, or even explain like what it is if you need, and really the benefits of having one. Number 4, look into passive income streams like an e-commerce store at a shameless plug, cashflowingassets.com. It's also in my blurb that I send out to everybody. It really does work. And what I love is this is an extremely affordable and fun way to earn extra income, completely passive. They do all the work for you, and they have 0% financing options. So there are no reasons not to have a store. And it's not that crappy credit card, 0% financing options either. So no reason that everybody should not have an e-commerce store that you don't have to work. So I don't have time for any other job. So if it's not passive, completely passive, I'm not in it. So if you're looking for passive income, talk to me. Please pre-register for my new ebook coming out any day now, and learn about syndication and the steps to joining. You can shoot me an email in the subject line, just type ebook, and you'll be the first to get it at no charge when it does launch. 6, educate yourself on the reevaluation of foreign currency. The Vietnam dong, the Iraqi dinar, the Venezuelan bolivar, I guess that's how you say it. Sorry, Venezuelans, if that's not how you say it. But these can currently be bought at deep discounts. And when the time comes that they do revalue, the profit margins are going to be astronomical. Here's the catch, is this currency, it could reevaluate tomorrow, or it could take years. So this one is a bit of a waiting game, but in a worst case scenario, just cash it back in for the American currency and, wash your hands of it. But if you have 50, $100, couple $100 to put into each one, it's really worth the hold.
Name those again. It
Okay.
was Vietnam currency, and what was the other one?
Vietnam dong.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they have different names, like we have the dollar and the coin. So it's the Vietnam dong.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Iraqi dinar.
Okay.
And it's the Venezuelan Bolivar. It's Bolivar. So I assume it's pronounced Bolivar.
Okay.
Probably called a Venezuelan friend and asked. There is a Zimbabwe Zim as well, but that one's really complicated because they want you to have, gosh, I don't remember the exact wording, but they kind of want you to have an agenda for that money, right? So some sort of give back, like you're going to open an orphanage or you're going to open a hospital. But I have Zims because I really want to start apartment complexes for children that have aged out of foster care, veterans that are homeless, a single mom community. So that's my give back. And there's a bunch of paperwork to fill out, but the Zims you can buy for pennies. So it's the Zimbabwe Zims. Number 7, but thank you for that. And I can, I am very emailable, so I can help you. I can even give you the company that we use. I can't do it right now because my husband does that part. But we do use a very specific company. So if you email me, I will give you the link to that company.
Okay.
Number 7, learn how to leverage an infinite banking account. If this is an option for you, again, email me and I will hook you up with my guy. Infinite banking is fantastic. The plan that we have is super fantastic because sometimes you have to wait a year or two before you can leverage your money. And I can't tell you exactly what my plan is right now, but I can give you all the information. We were able to leverage our money 4 months after opening our account. And then what we do is we lend that out, super short-term investment, 20% interest, we get it back, rinse and repeat. You cannot compound your money faster. So email me, I will give you my guy and the plan that we specifically use. Cannot recommend it enough. Number 8, there are so many ways to buy real estate and secure a spot in syndication with no money whatsoever. You can wholesale houses. This is a time-consuming avenue, but it costs $0. Wholesaling is as easy as putting a house under contract at a discount because it's likely a foreclosure or getting ready to be hit with the tax lien. And it probably needs some work and updating. But once this house is contracted, you can mark up the price upwards of $10,000 or so and sell that contract to an end buyer. And an end buyer is somebody that's probably going to hold it as a rental or use it as a fix and flip. This strategy would have been life-changing for me as a single mom. I would have only had to have done one a month at $10,000 to be set. And it's not complicated. And you can believe rather than work 2 and 3 jobs, I would have spent that time hustling to get those contracts. And you can get the contract, get a hard money loan, like somebody that has an infinite banking account, fix it up yourself and sell it for lots of money. Another option, once fixed up, you could keep it for yourself, refinance it through a bank, and hold it for a rental. I personally don't recommend single family rentals. I played that game. It is hard work, but that's a whole other talk, and lots of people do it and they love it, to each their own. You can source a commercial deal, either directly with a current owner or through a broker. This is something that I teach. You can get that deal under contract and then partner with an experienced operator for a percentage of ownership. And just like that, you own a commercial property. Bring money to a syndication. Who do you know that wants to diversify? Who do you know that has a dormant retirement plan? All you have to do is make that introduction, and we give ownership in a syndication for you having brought the money. And it costs you nothing. Become an underwriter for an operator. If you have extra time on your hands and you're a numbers person, offer to underwrite for an equity ownership spot in a commercial deal. And these options do take time, but they are doable without having to invest a single dollar. So as I wrap up, I hope nobody left here offended or leaves here offended. But I do hope you leave with a renewed thought process. And not everybody needs or wants to be a millionaire. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I do hope some of these points resonated with you to broaden your financial mindset. My personal favorites are not thinking small, being open to opportunities, and staying educated somewhere outside of Hollywood and social media. So thank you very much. And I didn't finish too early. So hooray, we have time for questions or comments if you have any.